I hate to break it to you, but there is no award for the employee who works the most. Also, there is no award for the employee who works just enough to get by. Why we work as much as we do or as little as we do reveals a lot about what motivates us. I personally want a better professional and personal life balance. I want to be healthy, I want my family to be healthy, and I want to produce excellent work. So is it possible to do it all? That's what we're going to discuss today. Hey there, it's Carolist, your leadership coach. Welcome back to the Culture Keepers podcast, where we discuss topics that empower leaders to cultivate thriving workplace cultures that inspire happy and high-performing teams. So welcome. Do you have any vacancies on your team right now? Are you looking to add more team members? That is a tough spot to be in. You feel the void. You're hoping, you're praying that the right person comes along, you find them, you interview them well, and you can seal the deal with that person. It is a hard scenario. So for you, I have a list of 30 surefire interview questions that will help you kind of sift through those competencies, those basic skill sets, even those more job-specific skill sets to determine whether this person aligns with your organization. Companies that hire the right people use questions like these. So I have that list for you. You can pick the ones that resonate with you and use them in your next interview. That link is below in the show notes, or you can also go to www.heycarolist.com/interview. It's all there for you. Okay, friends, let's talk about work-life balance. Very much a buzz phrase. First of all, I just want to say, I hope you love your job. I know that it is rare that people really love their jobs. I love my job. And for me, my job is life-giving. It makes me feel alive. I just enjoy it. I love it so much. And so when I hear the phrase work-life balance, it feels like work and life are at odds. They're competing. That like work is this prison that we just have to endure. And then once we're free from that prison, we go live our lives. But that doesn't have to be the case. We don't have to make it a work versus life situation. But I do want to say, if you find your work to be life-draining instead of life-giving, I want to encourage you that you have options. And if you need help with where you're stuck, reach out to me and I would love to help you. For the sake of this podcast and for the sake of not pinning work and life against each other, I'm just going to refer to it as your professional life and your personal life. And I want to say right from the start that everybody's personal life and professional life is different. So as I approach this podcast, I have a limited view. I have my opinion of what I would like for my life and the balance of professional work and personal work. I have lots of friends who work very different hours than me, who work longer than me or shorter than me, and they have determined that that is what is best for them, or they've determined that they have a plan for balancing that better, where both their professional life and their personal life support each other. So I just want to say there is no actual right balance of your professional life and your personal life. It is really what is best for you, what is best for your family, what is best for the people around you and for your work. So I just wanted to lay that foundation to say there is no exact prescription for good professional and personal life balance. So why is this balance so hard? Why is it so hard to achieve? And I am going to argue today that there are 3 reasons that it is hard. Okay, reason number 1, we allow other people's high stakes to become our high stakes. Picture this. You're sitting on the couch, you've had a long day, you finish up everything you plan to do, and you're ready to watch a show with your partner, with your roommate, and your phone dings. It's an email, it's a text, it's a phone call. And you look at it and you just say, I'm so sorry. I just have to take this. It will only take a few minutes, right? You've been there. I've been there. It happens. So why do we feel the need to respond to those calls? When I was working for an organization several years ago, I was so proud of myself because there was an event that was happening and I had decided, I trust my people. They're very capable. They're going to handle it. And so I said, look, don't call me unless the building is on fire. I believe in you guys. I believe that you got this. So go do it. Go thrive. I'm going to go home. Don't call me unless the building's on fire. Well, you should be careful what you say because sure enough, I got a call several hours later and I picked up the phone sarcastically, is the building on fire? And sure enough, it was. There was a fence beside the building and there were people sitting in the office and they started to smell smoke and they went outside and the fence was actually on fire. So I said, okay, did you call the fire department? And they said, yeah, we called the fire department. It's all being handled. We just thought you'd want to know. And in that moment, I was reminded that the building was on fire. The fence was on fire. And they did everything they needed to do. There was nothing I could do from my home 30 minutes away that they weren't capable of handling in that moment. Even the most high-stakes situation in my mind, leaving those instructions was something that I didn't even need to handle in the moment. So sure, sometimes someone might be calling you or texting you or emailing you because it's an emergency. You are smart enough to discern whether you feel like that's the case. But most likely, it's just someone demanding that their high stakes be yours. So I just want to be clear. I'm not saying that it isn't high stakes for them, but that doesn't mean it has to be high stakes for you. So I have a cute example. My middle son we have this indoor sensory swing that's so fun, and he was in it swinging. Meanwhile, while he was swinging, I was in the other room putting a princess dress on my 3-year-old girl. It was like just over her head and over her shoulders. And I hear my son make a sound that sounded like he got a little hurt, but I could tell from his reaction, from the sound that I heard, that it wasn't that big of a deal. So he said, Mom, I need you. And I said, okay, hold on, I'm coming. And I take the 5 seconds to finish putting on her dress because she was halfway in it. And I make my way out to him to see what's going on. And he looks at me with these big, beautiful 5-year-old boy eyes, all the mom guilt being thrown at me. And he says, you don't even care about me. And I was like, what do you mean I don't even care about you? I'm here right now. And he said, but I needed you and you didn't come right away. And I had to explain to him, buddy, I could tell that it was not an emergency. I knew that it was going to be okay if I finished putting on her dress and then came to your aid. I could determine that you were going to be just fine. He may have not liked that answer. And I get that this is a silly little kid example, but when you think about its implications, right? So many people call us or call out to us, don't you care? This is so important. I need you right now. And we, being outside of the situation, have the ability to see you don't need me right now. You might need me, but it doesn't have to be right now. And so often their high stakes, which feel very high stakes to them, and that is valid, they feel like they need to be our high stakes, and they just don't have to be. So when this happens, there's a couple things that I recommend that you do. You pause before responding. You pause. You don't respond right away. Even if they text you and you can read it, you don't need to get back to them right away, even if they see that you have read it. Because when you realize it isn't your high stakes and you can take a chill pill and that they can talk to you when it's a convenient time for both of you, something amazing happens. Do you want to know what it is? Most often, they figure it out on their own. They either realize that it isn't that big of a deal and they're able to calm down, or they just figure it out on their own. And isn't that what we want? We want our team members to be able to figure it out on their own. We know we're their leader. We know that we will be there for them, but you know when you will be there for them? Tomorrow. Not at 9 o'clock at night. It's not an emergency. You will be there for them tomorrow. And in the meantime, they might gain some confidence knowing that, you know what? They didn't actually need you after all. And here's why this is important. As leaders, we feel the weight of their need sometimes in their high stakes situation, and we don't want to let them down. You know, we feel like this is our responsibility. We're the leader. But let's be real, friends. You can have a freak accident tomorrow. You can have a freak accident and no longer be here. I pray that doesn't happen. But if it did, or if you became unavailable for a season of time, you want to be confident that your team can move on without you, that they could look at each other and link arms and say, we've been equipped for this. We've been prepared for this. And even though That leader's support has been so amazing, we can carry on the mission of our organization together. And that equipping, that preparing, that training does not happen if you answer the phone at 9 o'clock at night to cater to their high stakes. Reason number 2, we often prioritize what we are obligated to over what we're committed to. So what is the difference? You are committed to the things that you will drop anything for immediately. Your mom calls because your dad is in the hospital. Your daughter has her first dance recital. Your best friend is getting married. These are the things that you will say, my calendar is clear, or everything I have going on right now, I will drop because I am committed to you. And I really hope you never experience this, but what you're committed to becomes very clear in an emergency situation. Someone you love has an emergency situation and suddenly nothing else matters, right? It doesn't matter. You are there. This is what matters. What matters to you most is what you are committed to. And everything else is what you're obligated to. But so often we find ourselves catering to what we're obligated to at the sacrifice of what we are committed to. Some of you are committed to fitness and exercise. So much respect. I feel obligated to exercise. You know what I feel committed to? Sleep. If I had to choose between waking up an hour earlier to exercise or to sleep that extra hour, I guarantee you that 9 times out of 10 times out of 10, I will choose to sleep that extra hour. Feels like a silly example, but here's the hard question. If I am unwilling to sacrifice sleep, why am I so willing to sacrifice the people that I'm committed to cater to the people I feel obligated to? It's a good question to ask. So reason number 2, we often prioritize what we are obligated to over what we are committed to. Reason number 3 is we get confused between caring about something and finding our identity in it. Have you ever heard someone who's addicted to work say something like, my problem is just that I care too much. I care too much. What am I supposed to do? Not care as much? Not get the work done? Not care about if the work gets done? Should I just not care? I care about being a leadership coach. Don't get me wrong, friends. I care. But when I die, I don't want my gravestone to say, Kara List, a loving and committed leadership coach. No, of course not. I hope my story is Kara loved God. Kara loved her family. Kara loved her community. And I hope that my identity isn't just attached to the things I simply cared about. That sounds dramatic. Why so dramatic, Kara? Why all the drama? Finding our identity in things is a slippery slope, and we should and can care about our work, but it doesn't need to define us. When it defines us, we get attached to it. There is a need in what it gives us, and that is different than caring about it. So let's be honest. Do we care about it, or are we finding our identity in it? And let's not confuse the two. My 4th reason is super, super practical. We often struggle to have this balance between personal life and professional life because we don't have great systems of productivity. We get to the end of the day, we didn't finish the work, so it needs to come home with us, or we need to stay longer. Our systems of productivity are not awesome, so we feel like we need to cross those lines. So we're not legitimately behind, and I totally get that. So here are some tips if this is you, because I often find myself getting to work and being stuck because there's so much to do that I waste time or I get distracted. So if you make a list each day, or maybe even each week, of the top 10 things you need to accomplish or you would like to accomplish that day. So 10 things in the day or 10 things in the week, however you want to lay that out. And then you prioritize them in order. This is the number 1, this is the number 2, all the way through number 10. And then you take the last 5 and you trash them. You cross them out. And you only focus on those first 5. Because friend, if you take anything away from this episode, I want you to hear me say, you can't do it all. I have spent a lot of my life saying, well, I can do it all. I can muscle through it. I can do it. There is nothing that I can't handle or tackle. There is nothing more freeing than accepting the fact that you cannot do it all. So if you want to be productive, if you want to have that good balance, then take that list of 10, cross out those last 5. Hey, if you finish those first 5, then you can move on to the next ones. But at least you know this is your priority. This is your focus. You cannot do it all. So let's review. What are the 4 reasons why we struggle to have a healthy balance of our personal life and our professional life? Number 1, we allow other people's high stakes to be ours. Number 2, we prioritize what we're obligated to over what we're committed to. Number 3, we get confused between caring about something and finding our identity in it. And 4, we just need better systems of productivity. So again, I just want to recognize that we are all different and our allocation of time is going to look different. What I'm committed to, what I care about, my high stakes are unique to me. And we often make work the bad guy. So when we think about balance, again, let's try not to think about our personal life and our professional life fighting each other. Instead, I like to think of them as supporting each other. When my personal life is great, when it is balanced, when it is in check, then my professional life thrives. When my professional life thrives, then my personal life thrives, right? They work together, supporting each other for a happy, thriving life. So I'm going to leave you today with 4 challenges that will help you build this support system between your personal life and your professional life, because it's hard to know where to start, how to make those initial changes. So these are just 4 simple challenges that you can try this week. You could try today. Number 1, unless it's an emergency, don't respond when you're off the clock. I saw this awesome Instagram post the other day. It was like a screenshot of a boss who had emailed his employee. And at the bottom, it said, disclaimer, I understand that you are not on the clock. Only respond when you are working. And he just had that disclaimer to remind them, you got this at a time that was best for me to work, but I understand it might not be best for you. So I do not expect you to respond. And maybe that's something good you can remind your employees. Even if I contact you after hours, doesn't mean you have to respond. But ultimately, unless it's an emergency and you can discern that, don't respond when you're off the clock. Here's my second challenge to you, and this is to help with that system of productivity. Work for 2 hours before checking your email. And I know that's so hard. I know that's really, really hard. But here's the deal. If you want to talk about people's high stakes becoming yours, you read that email and someone expresses their high stakes, your priorities, your own priorities for your day are out the window. They are fully gone. Suddenly, you're answering this email, you're handling this issue, you're dealing with this thing that you didn't even know was a problem. But guess what? 2 hours later, it's not going to be more of a problem, right? Unless someone is rushing into your office or knocking at your door remotely and saying, this is an emergency, chances are it can wait 2 hours. You can prioritize your day. You can get some deep work done in the morning or whatever you deem is necessary for success and productivity in your day. So really, I challenge you to wait till lunch, but I know that's hard. So 2 hours. Give yourself 2 hours every day before you check your email. Third challenge is to take some time to really write down or think out loud, acknowledge what it is that you're committed to versus what it is that you're obligated to. If you know those things and can identify those things, then in the heat of the moment where you're going to have to choose one over the other, you're already going to know what is being catered to at the sacrifice of something else. So if you don't know right now what you're committed to versus what you're obligated to, or if you think you know, take some time to write it down or say it out loud for that accountability for yourself. Okay, and my 4th challenge, and this is probably the hardest for you, is take a day off. Take a day off. Take 2 days off. Take as many days off as you allocate for yourself each month. Make it a regular habit of taking a break from work in order to make up time maybe that you've lost in your personal life, or to do something you really love, or to go on vacation, or to clean your house. Whatever it is you feel like you need to do to be right in your personal life, take the day off. We say this to our employees all the time, right? You need to take a day off, but they are not going to do it if they do not see it modeled. It's super hypocritical to encourage your people to take a day off, but then never take a day off yourself. And often it's because we think we're too important to take a day off, that people need us, which again, us leaving provides an opportunity for them to figure out some answers on their own. But oftentimes we also just feel guilty, which is self-imposed. That guilt is self-imposed. No one is making us feel guilty about it but ourselves. So for the sake of modeling health for our teams, friend, take a day off. Friends, this is challenging stuff. Working through work, life, personal, professional, it's challenging for me. As I have prepared this, I've been thinking about my goals for how I'm going to balance and support my personal and professional life better together. And I hope you have things that you've taken away from this podcast that have encouraged and challenged you. And if you have, would you let me know by leaving a comment if you're watching on YouTube, or leave me a rating and review if you're listening on a podcast platform? I would love to hear from you and know that this is helpful for you. Okay, friends, until next time, take care.